Hey, let's do some math.
Let's talk about the commutative property and the associative property. First of all, the commutative property can be either addition, so A plus B is the same thing as B plus A, or it can be multiplication. A times B is the same thing as B times A. Here are some examples. So the commutative property is basically saying that the order in which you add numbers doesn't really matter. In other words, you could add 3 plus 4 and get 7, or you could switch those around the other way and say 4 plus 3 equals 7. Either way, it's 7, so it doesn't matter which number comes first. So the commutative property is talking about the order of the numbers being changed around. So here's another example here. 7 plus 1 equals 1 plus 7. So it doesn't matter which one you put first and which one you put second. Now that's true with addition, but it's also true with multiplication. Look at this. 5 times 6 is equal to 6 times 5. 10 times 11 is the same thing as 11 times 10. So the commutative property, the root word is commute. And if you commute to work, you're changing locations. That means that you live in one place, but then you're having to drive to go to another place to work. So somebody that commutes to work is changing locations. So that's a good way to remember this. The numbers are changing locations. I know it's a stretch, but maybe it'll help you remember. So commute means that something's changing locations, like somebody that commutes to work. So the order is involved in the commutative property. However, in the associative property, the order is the same. Notice that A plus B plus C, it's A, B, then C. And over here, it's A, B, and C. So the order didn't change. The order of the numbers doesn't change here, but the grouping symbols changed. So on this side, we're grouping A and B together, which means we're going to add those two together first and then this one. And over here, the grouping symbols are on those, which means we're going to add these two together and then that one. So who you associate with, that's the root word here, associative, who you associate with can be said to be your group. It's your people, your groups. It's the group that you hang out with is who you associate with. So with the commutative property, there are no parentheses here. It's just the order has changed, and the order literally changes. It's A plus B over here, but it's B plus A over there. But over here in the associative property, the order doesn't change. A, B, C, A, B, C. Same order, but the grouping symbols are different. So there's an addition version of the associative property, but there's also a multiplication version. So A times B times C, or A times B times C. So the grouping symbols are in a different place. So notice A, B, C, A, B, C. So they're in the same order. It's just the grouping symbols are placed in a different place. Here are a couple of examples. Well, here's an example of the addition version of the associative property. 2 plus 4 plus 6 is equal to 2 plus 4 plus 6. Notice they're in the same order, but the grouping symbols are around the 2 and the 4 here, but they're around the 4 and the 6 there. Here's a multiplication example. 5 times 3 times 2 is equal to 5 times 3 times 2. Here, the parentheses are around 5 times 3, and over here, they're around 3 times 2. So let's review, okay? So with the commutative property, the order is changing in the numbers, and it works for addition and it works for multiplication. Now, it would not work for subtraction. Think about it. 3 minus 4 is not the same thing as 4 minus 3. So the commutative property only works for addition and multiplication. It does not work for subtraction. It does not work for division. All right. The associative property is when they're in the same order, but the parentheses are in different places, and it works for addition and it works for multiplication. So there's an addition version and a multiplication version. So I hope that helps to clear up a little bit about the commutative property and the associative property.